This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. France's top diplomat has pledged his country's continued support for Armenia and urged Azerbaijan to engage in normalization talks in good faith, as part of his first visit to Armenia since his appointment in January. Despite the challenges, the obvious hostility and pressure attempts by Russia, Armenia continues on its path toward democracy, toward freedom. France is always by your side. Stefan Sejourn said at a press conference in Yerevan today, together with his Armenian counterpart. For his part, Ararat Mirzoyan pledged to work to continue to strengthen relations at all levels and in all areas. Meeting separately today with Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, Sejourn expressed Paris's readiness to deepen relations with Yerevan across a broad range of issues, including development and defense. France will also continue to support Armenia's efforts to move closer to the European Union, Sejourn indicated. Regardless of which political party comes to power in the country, France's historic relationship with Armenia will be maintained, he added. To that end, Sejourn announced France plans to disperse an additional $32 million in aid for Armenians forcibly displaced from their homes in Nagorno-Karabakh last year. Turning to the region, Sejourn urged Azerbaijan to engage in talks in good faith, saying the country is obliged to show that it sincerely wants to achieve peace with Armenia ahead of this year's Global Climate Summit, which will be held later this year in Baku. To that point, Mirzoyan reiterated Armenia's immediate readiness to sign a partial normalization agreement with Azerbaijan, a proposal first floated by Pashinyan late last month. The partial deal now on the table contains only articles previously agreed on by both sides, Mirzoyan said. There was no immediate reaction to Sejourn's or Mirzoyan's remarks from Azerbaijan. France has long been one of Armenia's most vocal supporters on the international stage. Prior to his meetings today with Mirzoyan and Pashinyan, Sejourn visited the Armenian Genocide Memorial at Tsitsernakaberd to pay his respects. Bagrat Galstanyan, Armenia's archbishop turned protest leader, visited parliament today for meetings with members of the country's two main opposition groups, Galstanyan announced on Telegram. We'll discuss what to do next and understand the way forward, Galstanyan wrote. Speaking with reporters, Galstanyan expressed his openness to meeting with members of the ruling Civil Contract Party as well, though that did not take place. Galstanyan came to prominence in April when he began leading a series of anti-government demonstrations across Armenia. The protesters initially demanded a stop to border delimitation negotiations with Azerbaijan, but later started calling for Pashinyan's removal as well. The protests ended after violent clashes with the police in front of parliament in June that left more than 100 people, both protesters and police officers, injured. Galstanyan has since indicated he plans to organize further protests, starting with a large gathering in Yerevan scheduled for Sunday. Russia's deputy prime minister has indicated his country acknowledges Armenia's sovereignty and ongoing efforts to reopen regional transit routes, in an apparent attempt at damage control on the thorny issue. Russia is ready to facilitate the unblocking of communications taking into account Armenia's sovereignty, Alexei Overchuk told reporters over the weekend as part of an official visit to Armenia. At the same time, though, Overchuk insisted that international trade routes should be reopened under the terms agreed by Armenia and Azerbaijan in the Russia-brokered ceasefire declaration that ended the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war. The ceasefire calls for all economic and transport connections between Armenia and Azerbaijan to be reopened, including an overland route to guarantee unobstructed movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo between mainland Azerbaijan and the Nakhichevan exclave via Armenia's southernmost Syunik region. The ceasefire further specifies that Russian border guards shall be responsible for overseeing that particular route, which Azerbaijan refers to as the Zangezur corridor. Overchuk's apparently contradicting remarks mark the latest development over the issue, which remains one of the main sticking points to years-long efforts by Armenia and Azerbaijan to reach a normalization deal. The issue gained renewed focus last month when Russia's top diplomat Sergei Lavrov went on state television to accuse Armenia of sabotaging peace talks with Azerbaijan by refusing to give up control of the route, marking a significant escalation in rhetoric. You can also take a look at the latest edition of CivilNet's weekly business digest. In this week's broadcast, Armenia's central bank cut interest rates by 25 basis points to 7.5% as inflation in the country continues to remain well below target levels and the economy continues to grow. And lawmakers said they will abandon a plan to toughen tax evasion penalties after business leaders raised concerns over the proposed change's potential impact on the private sector. You can find the full video up now on our website at civilnet.am or through the link in the video description below. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 7. That's the total number of times Armenian-American filmmaker Steven Zailyan has been nominated for an Emmy Award, including 3 nominations at this year's Emmys. At the award ceremony yesterday, Zailyan won his first Emmy in directing a limited or anthology series for his work on the television miniseries Ruptly. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.